Hi everyone, welcome to the STEM shortcut. Today we're going to be discussing simplifying radicals. So first, let's understand what even is a radical, right? Well, a radical is any expression using the root symbol. So this can be a square root, a cube root, any nth root you can think of. A surd is a radical expression that simplifies to an irrational number. Now, a key thing to remember is all surds are radicals, but not all radicals are surds. Now, this may be a little hard to grasp at first, but let's look at these examples right here. So we have these examples of radicals. We have the square root of 4, the square root of 64, and the cube root of 8. Now, what do you think is common between all of these? Well, they all simplify to a rational number. So the square root of 4 and the cube root of 8 are both 2, and the square root of 64 is 8. So these all simplify to rational numbers. Now, let's look at these surds over here. You have the square root of 2, the cube root of 9, and the square root of 7. So, as you may have guessed, none of these can be expressed as a rational number. These are all non-terminating, non-repeating numbers that cannot be expressed as a fraction, right here. So, all of these surds, they are radicals because they use this root symbol right here. But not all of these radicals are surds because they simplify to a rational expression. So all surds are radicals because they use this symbol, but a radical only becomes a surd if it simplifies to something irrational. So I hope you understood that. First of all, let's try to simplify this. Just take a moment and think of how you would approach such a question. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like. Okay, so to solve this, we would first need to employ a rule right here. This says the square root of ab is equal to the square root of a times the square root of b. Okay, now ab is any number, and this means we can split ab into its factors, a times b, and if it's the square root of ab, it would be the square root of each of its factors. So we can split the square root of ab into the square root of each of its factors, which in this case would just be a times b. So let's see how we can employ this rule into our question right here. So let's look at some factor pairs for the square root of 18. We have 18 times 1 and 9 times 2. Now, which one do you think is more suitable for this question? Just, give it a try. If you said 9 times 2, then you're correct. Now, since this is a square root right here, it's the square root of 18, we want a number, one of the factors in the factor pair should be a perfect square for the easiest simplification. Now, neither 18 is not a perfect square, and 1 is, itself is a perfect square because 1 times 1 is 1, but that wouldn't be very helpful here, as you would just get this answer again. So yes, we want 9 times 2 because 3 squared is 9 and the square root of 9 is 3, so 9 is a perfect square. So let's look at this. We split the square root of 18 into the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. But now we know the square root of 9 is 3, so we rewrite it like that. And since 2 can't be simplified into anything else, we write it as the square root of 2, and then we rewrite this as the square root of 18 is equal to 3 root 2. So basically, we're splitting the square root into its factors, and one of which should probably be a perfect square. You should try to make it a perfect square to have the easiest simplification. So let's try a few more problems. Just give them a gander. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, so this first question right here, the square root of 200. Now we need to know what factor pairs right here would fit this equation, where one of them is a perfect square. So we have 2 times 100 because that is equal to 200. So right here we can have it. The square root of 2 is equal to the square root of 1 times the square root of 100. And the square root of 100 is 10. So we rewrite this as 10 root 2. Similarly, for the next question, we have the square root of 25 times the square root of 2, which is 5 root 2. So for the last question, we have the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, and the square root of 4 is 2. So our answer is 2 root 5. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you understood how to simplify some small radical expressions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments and I will do my best to reply. Thank you. Have a good day.